Welcome to this week's edition of Youth Ministry Conversations, or Youth Leading Conversations, or whatever we've named it at this point. And this week we're talking about hacks and tips and tricks and just everything that we've learned over the years that can help everybody out. So first of all, we're going to introduce everybody, or let them introduce themselves. Chad, I'll just introduce yourself and kind of tell us where you're from and what you do.
Well, hey everyone, I'm Chad McElvin. Oh, thank you very much, thank you. And I am at Cedar Bayou Grace United Methodist Church in Baytown, Texas, and yeah, I'm the youth minister here, and been doing youth for about for 9 years, so it's been good.
Awesome. And then next to Chad is Eddie.
Yeah, hi, my name is Eddie Irwin. I'm the Director of Youth and Young Adults for the Texas Annual Conference, and started that in July and was in the local church at Lakewood for almost 11 years before that. So,
I am Taylor Ory. I'm from First Methodist in Quitman, and been here about 2 years. Been doing youth in all about 6 years. So,
and then next to Taylor, Ruth Ann.
I'm Ruth Ann Person. I'm at First Methodist Conroe, and I've been here for going on my 4th year.
My name is Russell Martin. I'm the youth director at Williams Memorial in Texarkana, Texas, way up in the top corner. And I've been here for about 10 years, but doing youth for the last 4. So today we're talking about just tips and tricks and things that you've learned. So kind of tell us maybe a little bit just about how your big group, so either your Wednesday or your Sunday, what kind of your big meeting that you can consider your big meeting time. What does that look like? And anybody can kind of jump in and kind of tell us that. Or I can pick somebody. You've got to come back every time, Chad. You're a sound effects guy. You're good.
Hey.
So, Chad, since you did that, what does your main night look like?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Sunday night, and it's 5 to 7 o'clock, so for 2 hours. We've just recently really started incorporating the use of small groups, and so just having a time where students can we divide them up. We have high school guys, high school girls, junior high guys, junior high girls, and so we get them into their groups. Each group has 2 adult leaders, and they just have time where they just get to know each other, talk about what's been going on in their lives and their week, and then every time it ends with them praying for each other, finding something they have to pray for each other about. And that's about 20 to 30 minutes of the time. And we just have other time of just fellowship and games and just building community and just hanging out. So.
Okay, Taylor, what does y'all's main night look like?
our big night is Wednesday nights. Very very similar to Chad. We start off with a meal about 5:15, and usually that goes for about 45 minutes or so. At 5:45, I pull my adult leaders and volunteers and the kids that are going to be doing youth worship, and we go into a meeting and just kind of pray over the night, go over whatever we're going to be covering, that sort of thing. At 6 o'clock, we break up into small groups. Similar to Chad, the only thing we do differently is we have mid-high, which is 9th and 10th grade, and we break that up by gender. We just do that because we have a big group of mid-high, and a lot of them are related to the senior high. And I don't know about y'all, but I had a little sister, and I did not want her sitting in the midst of all that. So kind of breaks that up a little bit better. After that, we during that session of small group, we just kind of have some discussion questions, kind of get them talking about whatever we're going to be going over that week. Right now we're going through Philippians, so something that's related to whatever passage we're going through. Come back in, do worship and a message, and then we break back out and go to small groups. And we do Christ Candle, which is highs, lows, prayer requests, and similar to what Chad was saying, just have a time for them to pray for one another. So.
And Ruth Ann, what does y'all's main time look like?
I'd probably say our main night is Wednesday nights. We do meet on Sundays too, but on both nights we share a meal first, and on Wednesdays is more of our Bible study time. So we use that to go through our lesson and and any discussion. Right now, our junior high youth is not as large as our high school youth, so for right now, we're just combining them all together. Hopefully, that'll grow after the football season's over with. But for us, it's just more discussion. Unfortunately, I don't have anyone that we don't have an opportunity to do worship, so I'm still searching for that. But one cool thing that we do is we hand out, little slips of paper, colored paper to all the kids, and they write their name on it, and then afterwards they put all their names, their slip of paper into a pot, and then we go back around and everybody draws another name. So that's the person that they pray for until the next week.
Eddie, I know you're kind of a different role right now, but as you've gone, what did y'all do whenever you were doing youth stuff? What did your night look like?
Yeah, so Wednesday nights we gathered for a time of kind of hanging out and getting together, and then we had a time of worship, and then split up into small groups based on mostly their grade levels. And then Sunday nights were fellowship-based and usually kept the 6th graders apart, and then the junior high, 7th and 8th graders were together, and then the senior high were typically together. So the fellowship activities could be mission-based, they could be just crazy games, or even kind of an old, what I always called UMYF, some sort of activity, and then a lesson wrapped around that activity.
We kind of do the same thing that you are talking about with food. Is actually we have homework and hang out right after church, or right after school, and so some of the kids get here before school is out. I'm not sure how they do that, but it's like it's time for school to get out, and they're walking in the door, and then we do meal and worship, and we have small groups, and I have student and youth-led small groups, so we're student and adult-led small groups, and then they dismiss from there because we found it was hard, and this may be something y'all find. It was hard to. My 6th grade boys would get done like in 5 minutes, and my senior high girls would be talking forever. And so it was hard to kind of gather back together. So, I let them. They close in their small groups, and then we kind of come back to the gym. They're playing some games. We kind of hang out, and at 7:15 we'll do wrap up MYF benediction and be done. So, so out of this, first of all, I want to help Ruth Ann out a little bit. Okay. What are some ways, and some of y'all can chime in on this, what are some ways that you can do worship if you don't have a band or you don't have somebody who does that?
I know I have done this before, especially at my last church I was with. We did do, we sang to videos off of YouTube, or I would just make my own and just add the lyrics to it. It took some getting used to, because it's just kind of odd. Just something about live music is just completely different than if you listen to a recording of David Crowder or Chris Tomlin or something. But I think after a while they started kind of getting into it and just realizing they're just focusing on the words and everything. When I try to do it at this church I'm at now, they pretty much weren't buying it, and they weren't getting too into it. And I noticed there was a drastic difference when we tried it with live music. So I don't know. It is something worth trying, but it's just something you have to kind of prep the students to know about it, and just I don't know, just keep it going and just experiment with it.
Yeah, we've tried doing that on Sunday mornings, like right before Sunday school, and it's kind of, to hear all the moans and groans from the kids. They're like, really? You're going to make us sing? So maybe it's just something I just need to keep, pushing.
And my question too is it them singing, or would it matter if it was somebody up there with a guitar? Would that make a difference if they were wanting to sing or not?
Sometimes that does make a difference, because I've had interns that have had a guitar, and I've had some some actual students. One was a friend of someone, but she led worship at another church, and so when she was visiting us, she would bring her guitar and would lead, and that was, they were okay with that. So it's just finding somebody to help me. And unfortunately, our praise band practices, their rehearsal is on Wednesday nights, so that makes it difficult to drag them away from rehearsal.
Taylor, how did y'all build your praise band, and what did y'all do? Have you been there since it began, or what did y'all do when y'all started?
We were really fortunate here that when I got here, we had a student who'd been leading for a couple of years, and he kind of had his stuff together, and when he graduated, we have another girl who is pursuing a career as a worship leader. So what we did with her is we kind of got her started. We gave her a couple opportunities to get her more comfortable instead of just kind of throwing her to the wolves on Wednesday nights. Let her lead Sunday school. But she kind of had a lot of experience already. So it really wasn't that big a deal here. The last church I was at, that was actually my job, was starting the praise band. And what we did really was just see who all would be interested, see who all would want to participate in the service, and then start looking at ways, who does anybody have a friend that plays guitar? Does anybody have a friend that does this? But it takes a lot of time, a lot of prayer, and a lot of effort. I don't really have any, this is what we did and it worked really well.
I know that there are some resources. The old one was Spin. Back in the day, Spin was Student Praise Interactive Network, and there's several of them now that will, Praise Church actually has this. It'll provide a background track and a full track and a guitar parts and stuff that you can, if you have somebody who sings, they can be singing to the track. If you have someone who sings and plays guitar, they can play to that track, and so you have the full band. I actually have an app that I downloaded and use, and it's worship band in a hand. And so not all the songs are on there, but there are enough. And so it provides, it's all on the iPad, and so you choose, hey, we're doing Lord I Lift Your Name on High, or whatever, and you can go, hey, we have drums and we have bass, but we don't have this, or we don't have any keyboards, and so we can add that, and so they can practice to that. You can send it with them, they can practice with it, or you can, and then they can, when you're leading, you can have whatever parts of the band that you don't have that you can add in. So Worship Band in a Hand is the name of that deal. And you just buy each song. It gives you a couple free songs, and you buy the songs as you want to add them. So finding any way to encourage one person to make it easy enough for them to do is helpful. So, Eddie?
Another place you might look would be a music school, or especially somebody that's teaching guitar. That they may not be a believer, but there's a lot of the Christian music uses similar chords, and so it doesn't take a whole lot for somebody at least to play the guitar and have that live music like you were talking about, and it may help them further their musical learnings as well. That either help pay for more lessons or provide that opportunity to play up on stage. And those sort of pieces. So another thing that we found worked well was what we called gang vocals. It was in essence a small choir, but they weren't parted out singing different parts, but just singing as a group together gives people confidence up there on stage. And so you may not have one person leading, but a handful may be comfortable there leading up on stage.
All right, so that's kind of worship stuff, and Ruthie, I hope that helps out.
Yeah, the great ideas. Thank you.
The other thing I saw that everybody mentioned was meals. Most people mentioned meals, and that's something I've seen on the TXC UMC Facebook page, and I've seen on a couple other things. Is other than pizza and hot dogs, what are some of the meal ideas, your best meal ideas, and easiest ones to do that we can share with others so that they have a list?
One that we like to do around Halloween is mummy dogs, and it's real simple. You just take crescent rolls, wrap them around a hot dog, and bake it to the same, same instructions as the crescent roll, and you get, kind of a pig in a blanket. That's real easy for us and really doesn't take that much time or effort.
We've done breakfast, for dinner, and the kids seem to really enjoy that. And this past week, we have a Hispanic ministry that sells tamales for their fundraisers for scholarships, and they needed the space in our freezer, so I had to clean out our freezer downstairs in our kitchen. So it was kind of a smorgasbord, but the kids ended up loving it. We had taquitos and the French toast sticks that were left over from a lock-in. So the kids were so excited. It worked out really well. You never know.
I know there's been a time where I usually always try to find other people in our church, but if it ever was left up to me to provide for dinner, it'd either be like, either buying something, either pizza or something. But there have been times where I have went out and just like we had breakfast, but we just had this a whole bunch of options of cereal, and just cereal and milk, and it's actually pretty cheap for providing for all the students. And some of them, some of the students were quick to complain that they're like, oh, we can't just have cereal. Oh, come on, as they go up for their third bowl, and they're just complaining the entire time that they can't have cereal, and that's not a meal. And they go back for their fourth bowl, and then it's just like, well, I think it's good enough, so yeah.
We did that with cereal, and we had them each bring a box or 2 boxes of cereal, and then you eat about a third of them, if that much. And so we set some, and so they donated some to the our food pantry because we needed cereal at the time. So we had cereal night, and then it was a way to kind of do missions and a meal at the same time. So, Eddie, you've been doing this for a long time. What are the best meals you've come across?
Yeah, some of our favorites were English muffin pizzas. Just getting English muffins, splitting them in half, putting tomato sauce on them, and pepperoni or cheese. Just kind of quick and simple. Kind of along the lines of the tamales, taquitos. Where you just bought them frozen and stuck them in the oven. Were real quick. Barbecue baked potatoes always were. Certainly the potato parts were pretty simple and easy. And then we did on certain nights, depending on our health too, we had griddles that we would take to mission camps for us, and so we would do grilled cheese sandwiches real quick, or even quesadillas on the fly. And that way, students had kind of hot and prepared in front of them there, and it gave us an opportunity to talk with them as we were cooking their grilled cheese or whatever they wanted on them. So.
Cool.
I have a question. So it seems like a lot of those suggestions they sound good, but I was just wondering, is it even possible to have good, healthy options for meals? It seems like when it comes to quantity, you just kind of put that in the back burner and you just make whatever feeds everybody and whatever everyone likes. But I've been trying to think, what is probably the best way to provide a healthy option for the students?
Salad for us is really not that expensive. I mean, it's not cheap, but you can get a large quantity of salad fairly cheap, and it really doesn't take much to make salad something special. I mean, you can chop up tomatoes, get a little bit of shredded cheese or dressings, and you can kind of make what you want with salad. That's what we do. But I mean, as far as like getting fruit can get real expensive real quick. So.
I've kind of, learned that I'm more like a grandmother who feeds the grandkids and then sends them home because they count on me to have food here, especially fun cereal or Pop-Tarts. They love having Pop-Tarts in the pantry. So food that their parents, won't buy them at home, they know that they can get it here. So, that might be bad, but sometimes I've tried doing special foods, and they just, they would rather have the fun stuff.
Yeah.
No, Chad, we have a Super One here. I don't know what as far as your local grocery store, but they'll do sandwiches on the Hawaiian bread, and meat and bread and cheese and that like that. And so that is a non-fried. It's not as, it's not like pizza or something like that. So sandwiches are always a one that we will do that is a little healthier.
The Hawaiian bread sandwiches, they love those. You can just buy a regular sandwich meat from the deli and cut orders, and then they can pick and choose what meats they love.
Kind of the bigger struggle on the healthy end is that we had either students who were gluten intolerant or had different allergies, and so trying to find stuff that allowed them to be a part of the group and not, oh, well, Johnny, your special bread is over here to the side, so why don't you step out of line and you can't be a part of the group, so trying to find menu items that would work for the large majority of our group and make everybody feel inclusive around a meal rather than separating folks out.
Yeah. And a great place to get ideas is when you go to Army or you go to Big House or Summit or stuff. I mean, the people who do kitchens for that's what they do is feed bulk groups. All right, food's great. I want to jump to something else that we all talked about. It was kind of good because it's kind of all the things that we did. Somebody mentioned lock-ins. We probably will not get to that because those are evil. But games. One of the things that I've found is I'm a worship leader. That's the thing I do, and so I was like, games. Do we need games and stuff? And I found that there is a lot of value, and I've always known this, but kind of confirmed the value in games and what they do. Because for me, I will have youth who are, we're playing scatterball or something like that, and they're the last 2 or 3 on a team, and they're working together, and they never would have worked together. Like you never would have thought that they would be on a team. So, but what are some of the games that your students enjoy playing?
I know for us, a big favorite is always is Nuke 'Em, and it involves a volleyball net, and pretty much the gist is you have 2 teams on either side of the net. You throw the ball and you can catch it, so it's not like volleyball where you have to hit it and everything. But you throw the ball over the net. If it hits the ground on the other side's team, whoever's closest to the ball is eliminated. So think of it like the volleyball is like a bomb, and whoever's closest to it gets blown up, and so they get eliminated. So the object of the game is to eliminate one entire team. So they can just play that forever. Sometimes we will set a team, but then we'll change up the teams to where it's, all right, let's have guys versus girls. All right, let's have high school versus junior high. All right, let's have this school versus this school. You can just change it up. We even settle some big debates on, like, what's better, Chick-fil-A or Whataburger? Go on this side for this one and this side. And we just change it up, and it's just, I don't know, it's just a game that you can just play for a long time, and it's just a lot of fun.
We've done that with if you get out, you actually go to the other side too.
Oh yeah. I call that the Red Rover rule.
Yeah.
So you got a member to their team. And
all right. What else? What other games do y'all play?
Have you ever heard of Protect the President?
Heard of, but I don't remember how to play. But
yeah, I mean it's one of those kind of like you were talking about. You get some kind of odd team building stuff going. Real simple. You have like a soft. Like not a softball, but a softer ball, like a 4-square ball. Don't use a basketball. Well, you could.
Bowling ball. Yeah.
Yeah, bowling ball might not work out. So you may get some parent calls.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just have them all stand in a circle, and you have like you can either do it with 2 or 3 people. Basically, the person you put one person as the president, and you have 2 people or 1 person that is defending them, and you have everybody else is in the circle trying to lob and hit them. And the person or the 2 people in front, however you arrange it, are trying to block it. And as soon as the president gets hit, the game's over, and you just rotate through. Whoever hits it becomes the new Secret Service, and whoever was the Secret Service rotates to the president. But you'll get, you can get that one really awkward junior high boy that turns into like a true Secret Service man defending, just this random person. You can get some pretty cool stuff out of it, I think.
Ruth Ann, do y'all have games?
I try to introduce new games, and they only want to play dodgeball, so it kind of makes me crazy, but that's what they want to do. Just recently we had, I guess it was in the month of August, we had life-size games as our thing for our Sunday night fellowship. So we have a life-size game of Bananagrams, which I'd never heard of, and the kids loved it. So instead of having little bitty tiles like you have for Scrabble, we actually have 12-inch tiles, and we played it in the gym, and so that was a lot of fun. And we also made a life-size, one of the larger Jenga sets, so they enjoyed doing that too. But they like to play Nuke 'Em.
How did you make your life-size Bananagram? Like, what did you use for your tiles?
We used a thin board, kind of like paneling.
Okay.
I don't know exactly the name of it. At first I thought we could use old floor tiles, but when I found out how heavy those were, it was incredible. So we went to the wood, and it's really inexpensive, per se. And so I had one of our adults was able to cut it for us. Actually, Home Depot cut them in long slide. They cut like in 12-inch strips, and then one of our adults was able to cut them into the 12-inch squares. So we had to paint them. We paint, and you can go online to find the game, and it'll tell you how many A's you need, and you need 11 E's and things like that. So it took us about 4 or 5 hours to get all that painted, but it was worth it. And we've got them in a little tub that we bought from Lowe's that has wheels on it that we can carry it around. So that'll be something that we can take with us to Army or Big House. But they had a great time.
Cool. All right, Eddie.
Yeah, there's a few that are always standbys. One of my kind of less active games that doesn't require a whole lot of physical activity is Vegetable Off right now. You pull up 2 students and say, on your mark, get set, broccoli, and they have to do their best impersonation of a broccoli based on. And then you get the audience to participate by voting based on speed and accuracy of the vegetable and creativity. And so when you throw out, some like Brussels sprouts, they don't know what to do, or you have some like corn that could either be an ear of corn, a kernel of corn, or even a stalk of corn still on it. So that's one that's that a lot of ours still had. We didn't play a whole lot, but and it's kind of becoming dated now too, was Quidditch from Harry Potter. Give them, we had a stack pile of brooms and mops from from Army and other work camps that were sitting up in the attic, and so we got those out and had flag football flags that we used, and kids loved being the snitch that ran around just all around the space we were playing in and tried to escape. And you had everybody was moving because you had the other characters and quaffles and beaters and whatever else Harry Potter things that are going on there. I apologize to the huge Harry Potter fans that I'm offending right now by not getting all that terminology right. But they had, because everybody was moving and different things were going on, it kept everybody entertained pretty good. So.
One of the things we love playing is Scatterball, which is dodgeball, but with there's really no teams. And so have you all played that? Get out, you throw the ball. There's no teams, so everybody's running around. You get, you throw the ball, get somebody out. If you're out, you sit down. If the ball comes to you, because it's rolling around, you can pick it up and throw it at somebody else. And if you hit them, and they're out, you're back in. And then when you get down to about 3 or 4 people left, you call all in, and everybody gets back in. And so it's an ongoing, never-ending, no-team version of dodgeball. Sometimes we'll throw 2 balls in there and do it that way. And the other thing we did with dodgeball is we played, and we combined Eddie's and Ruth Ann's with dodgeball, and we played Golden Snitch dodgeball. Nice. And so basically, there was one person on each team and there was one gold dodgeball, and if they could hit the basketball goal of the other end, actually go in the goal, then the game was over. And so you were trying to decide: are you trying to hit the ball when it goes over? Are you trying to hit that person and get them out? Or what are you trying to do, working with that deal. So that was kind of interesting. We tried that a couple times. It worked okay, but also just hurling dodgeballs at each other is always a good way to do it. So James, how are you doing? Doing good? All right. Hopefully James learned some stuff, and you can chime in too. And then,
sorry, I'm sitting at the pumpkin patch with cars driving by. That's why.
Sitting at the pumpkin patch. Oh.
James for the win.
If there was a prize, if we awarded prizes, you would get it for most remote location to join our conversation. So hope you have all enjoyed it. And hold on, Eddie's got the. I'm frightened to see what's coming up. I'm gonna wait.
I was gonna draw a gold star for James, but
James, you get the gold star. We are now adding a gold star award for every conversation. Somebody gets the gold star.
It's better than the orange pumpkin, my friend.
Anyway, I will see y'all later, and hope y'all join us next week.
All right.
Y'all take care.
Russell. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See ya.